Welcome to See You Next Tuesday. I'm Jade Chung. This week's episode is going to be a solo podcast. And actually, funny story, when I decided to do this podcast, I actually just wanted it to be a solo podcast. I didn't want that many guests on, but 16 episodes in and I haven't done one yet. So I thought, what better time than to do it now? This week's episode, I am going to highlight the 60-minute Ironman match between Josh Alexander and TJP. Make sure you tune in this Thursday, June 3rd, 7 p.m. Eastern for BTI Before the Impact. You can catch it on Access TV or you can catch it on Twitch. The hype, guys, is just unreal. You've all heard everyone else from the roster talking about what an amazing match that they just had during tapings. So we knew that there was an amazing match going to be on TV, but we didn't know who. And then, boom, last week's episode announces its 60-minute Ironman match. Holy cow. It'll be running during the pre-show, BTI, and from what I heard, into the main show. So what a great freaking way to start off Thursday night. And bonus, we don't have to wait until 8 p.m. I know people out there were saying, oh, this should be a main show match. But you know what? I don't want to wait till 8. 7 p.m.? Hell yeah, I'm good. You just sit down because I am all for 7 p.m., okay? I want to take it back to in October 2016. Josh and I were headed to Cleveland so I could celebrate my friend Candace's wedding. And the border guard decided to be a complete a-hole that day. And we weren't even going for wrestling at all. Literally, we were going for the reception and then we were driving right back. But of course, they had to keep us for a couple hours. So thank goodness we left super early because we had a feeling. And basically, they told my husband, you can't come back here because they didn't believe us. They told Josh that if he crosses again, they might ban him. So from then on, that had us freaked out. I mean, you don't want to risk your entire life to just cross and see how it goes and then all of a sudden be banned. So, he just laid low, didn't cross. And from 2016 to 2019, Josh just stayed in Canada. During that time, he loves wrestling so much and it's just what he wants to do. So I remember having this conversation with him and he was saying, what can I do to continue to make myself better? So he started setting some goals for himself personally and professionally. And one of those goals were to have as many Ironman matches as he could. Not the lame 30-minute matches, but the full 60 minutes. I legit said to him, you're completely insane. Like, okay, I'm all for it, but you're completely insane. And he did just that. He had, I want to say, about a handful of Ironman matches. And I want to say he had 3 within like 6 months or something. Anyway, the point is, guys, my husband was made for Ironman matches. He calls himself the Iron Man, for gosh sakes. So believe me when I tell you, and that's if you didn't already believe all the words from like Gail Kim, from Scott D'Amore, from David Penzer, like everybody talking about it. If you didn't hear them say it and you're listening to me say it, which is weird, but this is a match you do not want to miss, and a match that you need to make sure that everyone else won't miss. Man, there was a time where, I wouldn't say Josh was depressed, but I know that it hit him hard that he couldn't travel more than he wanted to. And he never let that bring him down. He was sad and it sucked, obviously, but he always wanted to better himself. He told himself that he was going to make Ontario independent scene better. And whether you believe this or not, because yeah, I get it. I probably come off biased, but I believe he did. He worked anywhere and everywhere that he could. It didn't matter if there were 10 people in the crowds. Like, people talk about during the pandemic how, there's nobody in the crowd. Well, he's used to it. You're used to it if you hustled your ass off and didn't give a shit how many people there were in the crowd. Because you know what? It's fucking hard to perform in front of nobody. It's hard to not get a reaction to whatever moves that you're doing. It's hard. Because whatever your next move is, you're bouncing off of the fans' reactions. So that plays a huge part in wrestling. And just like last night, I'm reading tweets about AEW and how amazing it was because it was a full crowd and just the atmosphere. Everyone loved it. Like, crowds also make your matches. So my point is, Josh has wrestled in all sorts of settings. He's ready for this. And with like 5 or 6 60-minute Ironman matches already under his belt, you guys are in for a treat. And not to mention, like, I do have to mention TJP because he is a fantastic wrestler. He's been everywhere. Okay, so this guy he's in WWE, PWG, then he goes to Japan. I just love watching Josh and TJ wrestle. And you know what? It's not just me, but my son, my 2-year-old Jet, loves it too. He will access the Impact app on his tablet and he will search and scroll and like do all those things. And I would say 90% of the time, he always finds one of the matches with TJP. I usually drop my episodes at 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, but this one is going to be special. And as you already know, I'm going to be dropping this one at noon, which is 2 hours before Gail hosts a press conference with Josh and TJP talking about the Ironman match. So I wanted to give my, little hype up, if you would call it, and just keep the excitement going. Keep it roaring. Keep the fire burning. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I know nothing about the match except for everybody just talking so highly about it. And I can't wait. I didn't ask Josh about it at all. I just want to wait. And usually 7 p.m. we start to take the boys up for their bath and, books and stuff like that, and then put them to bed by 8. But nah, this is a special occasion. And you know what? They're gonna love watching it. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch it as a family. Also, those complaining about how the Ironman match should be part of the main show that starts at 8 p.m., just treat it like it's a 3-hour show. Like, Raw is 3 hours. So why we gotta bitch, moan, and complain? Some fans these days, they just can't appreciate shit. We're in a fucking pandemic. Like, just take wrestling for what it is and enjoy it, because these guys are still out there wrestling, putting their bodies on the line, still entertaining us. Just fucking enjoy it. You know those segments where celebrities read mean tweets? Well, I'm just gonna do the opposite and read tweets to hype this Iron Man match. Okay, so I mentioned that a few people tweeted after tapings, hinting at some greatness that's to come. I'm going to start off with David Penzer's tweet. He said, "So this weekend, I saw one of, if not the greatest pro wrestling match in my 44 years of watching wrestling. Can't wait for you to see it soon." Then Gail quote tweeted Penzer's tweet and said, "Much respect to these two. I wish the fans could have been there, but the world needs to tune in for this." So guys, like, Gail's tweet, like, I was shitting myself. I was like, oh my God, she loved it. She loved it. So now we fast forward and Impact announces the 60-minute Iron Man match. These are tweets from the Impact stars. This one was from Eric Young. He said, "Real world shit. You better not miss this if you are a wrestling fan. The art at its highest level. TJP and Josh Alexander in a masterpiece." Johnny Bravo tweeted, "Expect to be blown away." Baby Hebner tweeted, "This is going to be a damn slobber knocker. Cannot stress how good and intense this should be. Can it be next Thursday already?" EVP of Impact Scott D'Amore says, "Let's make history. Next week on BTI, we are guaranteed to have the longest match in Impact's almost 19 years. Holy shit, guys. Like, this is historic. This is amazing." Deanna Perazzo says, "I cannot wait." David Penzer tweeted again and said, "This sounds like a match that could be one of the greatest I've ever seen. Be sure to watch and find out." Rohit Raju says, "Absolute fire." And referee Brendan Toll says, "There are matches that you watch, you know you will remember for the rest of your career. This is one of them. You do not want to miss this next Tuesday." So guys, these are tweets from the Impact roster. They're excited. And if they're excited, you need to tune in. And I'm sure my listeners are definitely tuning in, right? Right? Yeah, you are. I definitely can't wait. Okay, on to other things. In case you haven't been on Twitter or Instagram in the past, I don't know, like 2 weeks, I, Jade Chung, got challenged to a match. You heard it. My videos are posted and pinned on my Twitter at JadeChung11. If you go down to the replies, you'll see all the other videos. But I got challenged and I don't know who challenged me. At first I thought like it was this fun thing, but then soon after I took it seriously. So, yep, I immediately accepted the challenge. And then I didn't hear anything for a couple weeks, which I'm like, okay, are you getting scared or something? You getting scared of me? Yeah. Until I finally received a letter in the mail. Now, guys, I don't know who it could be. The letter was letters from a magazine cut out and pasted. But what I do know is that this coming Friday, June 4th, I'm going to find out who my opponent is. So June 4th, 2 p.m. Eastern, make sure that you've got your eyes on my Twitter at jchung11. I've already said my handle, but it's here for you again. I'll say it again, at jchung11. You're going to want to tune in because I'm freaking excited to find out who I'm wrestling. So other than Ironman and my match coming up on Friday, my son really does keep me on my toes. He has been fighting naps like a motherfucker. And before you think, oh, well, maybe he's outgrowing them and he doesn't want them. Nuh-uh. He needs them. His eyes are droopy and he's whiny and everything bothers him when it gets to that late afternoon. And then I have that long-ass 2-hour stretch of him just being pissed off at everything. It is hard, you guys. Jet is the kind of kid that you read about when you're a first-time parent and you Google search, what are all the milestones that a kid goes through? What are all the regressions that a kid goes through? So the whole 4-month sleep regression, and then the 6-month whatever, and then the 8-month whatever. Jet went through them all. And let me tell you, I can't wait for the day that he starts JK. I really can't. It sounds like a beautiful break for me. I love him to death. Don't get me wrong. And my husband says, oh, how are you going to be when he goes to school thinking that I'm just going to bawl my eyes out? Maybe. Okay, probably. But it's only because I know that he will love school. And I know he'll enjoy it. He'll love learning. He'll love friends. He'll love his teacher. And then the last part of my crying will be tears of joy that I'm free for 5 hours. But yeah, this whole pandemic has been hard for parents. And I mean, it's been hard for everybody. But kids need that social interaction. And Jet loves when Lucas is doing his virtual schooling. He loves saying hi to his teacher and all the students. He loves looking at all the kids' faces. Kids need that. And not only, I hope they get to go back to school. I don't know, even if it's just the last 2 weeks of school, I think kids need that closure. I think kids need to see their friends before it's the summer again, and then you don't really get to see your school friends. And I think a lot of kids do really need to work on how to socialize with other kids. That's a thing. Right now the kids just know to be behind a mask, and that's the worst thing. They have to wear a mask outside and they're playing, and they're getting their masks wet from their mouth because they're huffing and puffing, and I can't imagine all the germs that's just seeping through the mask from the outside into your mouth. Anyway, I won't get into that, but I just feel so badly for the kids. I'm very lucky that my kids have each other. But for the parents who just have, their one kid and just trying so hard to keep them stimulated, keep them happy, keep them excited, it's hard. It's hard work because, you're also working on your own mental health. It's just hard altogether. I just want to point out, if there is anyone who is scared to talk about a certain topic or wants to hear from, I don't know, somebody else going through the same thing, feel free to always shoot me a DM and let me know if you want me to cover a topic. And I will gladly talk about it on my podcast. If there's a guest that I could have that's going through the same thing and they feel comfortable talking about, I would definitely try to make that happen. Any topic or any stories that you'd like for me to cover, just shoot me a DM and I will try to work something out. Well, guys, I'm going to end it here. Please make sure you head over to Impact's Facebook, where Gail Kim will be hosting a press pass with Josh Alexander and TJP live at 2 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully Jet is napping so I can actually watch and pay attention. Don't forget, Thursday, June 3rd on Access TV or on twitch.tv/Impact Wrestling, 7 p.m. Eastern, 60-minute Ironman match. Josh Alexander, TJP. Don't miss it. And then the next day, Friday, June 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern, catch my match. Keep your eye on my Twitter at jchung11. Something tells me that you're not going to want to miss it. Catch me on Instagram and Twitter at jchung11. You can subscribe to my Patreon /jchung. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel /jchung11. I think I'm going to do a little bit more of video podcasts. That was a lot of fun. I just got to figure out technology on my own and kind of do this whole like cool thing where people have logos on their screens and stuff like that. So I got to figure it out so it looks a little pretty. And also, I do have a new Pro Wrestling Tee store now /Jade Chung. I have my official podcast tee up there, and I think I'm going to release one in a black tee as well. I also have a new design coming. Hopefully within the next couple days, it'll be up in my store. But it is my Don't Poke the Bear tee, and it is super cute. I love it. And I hope you do too. So until then, guys, see you next Tuesday.